Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 2025 Digital Media and Developing Minds International Scientific Congress. I'm Kris Perry, Executive Director of Children and Screens.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dimitri Christakis, the Chief Science Officer at Children and Screens.
We are really excited to have you here. I see many familiar faces. I cannot wait to catch up with you. And I also see some new faces that I have not yet met. I know many of you have traveled a long distance to get here, and we've heard stories of people who are still traveling long distances to get here, and we look forward to seeing them soon. All right, Dimitri, I'm going to turn it over to you for a second.
Thanks. Can I see a show of hands? How many of you have been here before, to a Congress before? Yeah, I know why you're all back. You're back because it's one of the most exciting, dynamic, interdisciplinary conferences, frankly, in the world, and I say that as someone who's been to conferences all over the world. And those of you who have come to your first one, that's why you're going to come back when you see just how amazing this conference is. And I think it's important to talk about how this came to be. So 15 years ago, Pam Hurst de la Pietra saw a problem, and she decided to try and fix it. She was concerned about children and screens, thus the name of the institute. But Pam's genius wasn't that she saw a problem, because many of us in this room saw the same problem and many of us were working on it. Her genius was that she recognized that we weren't going to make any progress in solving that problem so long as we took the traditional siloed approach to academic resolution of problems. So everyone in this room who is a researcher, belongs to some department, goes to meetings, collaborates with other people, almost universally, I would argue, in your own department, or certainly in your own field or your own discipline. And since the advent of the very first Congress, which was a National Academy of Sciences meeting, she's built a community of transdisciplinary scholars who work across disciplines to address the issue of children and screens. And I think that's the only way we're going to make progress. In fact, it's how we've made significant progress. So no fewer than 4 R01s have emanated from the work that's been funded by Children and Screens, by the relationships that have formed, the interdisciplinary relationships that have formed amongst this group. And I think that really, the credit for that goes back to the vision that she had 15 years ago. Pam is brilliant. She's visionary. She's relentless in good and challenging ways. But it's that level of perseverance and commitment that has really made a difference. It's what has brought us together. It's what has made us work together. But the singular greatest attribute of Pam is that she's really indefatigable. I mean, she has put her heart and soul into Children and Screens, and quite a bit of money, I might add, of her family's money to form this. And all of us being here and all the work that you do, all the relationships you've made are testament to all of that. So I'm a quantitative guy, and I'm just going to throw some numbers out there. I'm going to throw out the number 4, the number 88, the number 350, and the number 2.5 million. 4 is the number of Congresses we've had. This is the 4th Congress we've had in 12 years. I think I said 83. It might be 88. Is the number of webinars that have been created by Children and Screens. I don't know if you've seen them. They're an amazing resource. They've been seen by tens of thousands of people around the world, where experts like you talk to other researchers and parents about important issues related to children and screens. 350 is the number of registrants that we have at this meeting, which exceeds what our maximum number was. So in spite of the weather delays, we've succeeded in having a record number of registrants. And 2.5 million is the number of downloads of the handbook that Children and Screens, under Pam's direction, put together. That number itself is extraordinary. I don't know how many of you follow academic hits or journal downloads. I'm an editor of a journal. If we get 100,000 hits, we consider it to be a landmark paper, and that handbook, which has been out for 6 months, has 2.5 million downloads around the world. So if you're not one of those 2.5 million, and I'm sure you are, please get it and share it. It's completely free, which is, again, made possible by Children's Green. So you have a very exciting, we all have a very exciting 2.5 days ahead of us. But I really want to recognize Pam, and please join me in thanking her for all that she's done. She's stepped back to become a Tony Award-winning producer. So she's put her expertise to other things. Once again, everything Pam does, relentless, extraordinary. So she stepped back from her role on Children's Green. She's still very involved, but not as hands-on as she was. But none of this would have happened without her. So Pam, thank you so much. Thank you.
Great. Amazing work, Pam. And of course, you're joined by a number of incredible supporters, and we are immeasurably grateful to them as well. It would take the rest of our time this evening to name them all by name, but to our generous donors, our board of advisors, our board of directors, to many of our partners and participants, and of course, our wonderful staff, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for your commitment, for your passion, and your power. Our staff, advisors, and directors spend countless hours working together to create the action and impact you see from the Institute every day. We are convening often, and this is of course our biggest convening every other year. We produce educational materials and resources, and we like to work in coalition. We support other organizations whose individual missions are similar to ours. Among our donors tonight in particular, I want to recognize our Congress sponsors, especially our platinum sponsor, the Social Media Victims Law Center, for helping make this week a reality. Thank you so much to everyone that's here and everyone that's provided support to Children's Greens over the last several years to make this possible.
Yeah, I want to add my thanks too. And as I said before, those of you, this is your first Congress, you're really in for an incredibly stimulating couple of days. I want to emphasize that as important as the science that's presented in the meetings is, and as interesting as it will be, equally, if not more important, are the relationships you're going to make outside of the scientific presentation. So please, get off your screens at breaks, mingle, get to know people. It's a very friendly crowd. I'm not very good at it, but walk up to people, introduce yourself, ask them why they're here. By all means, come and introduce yourself to me. I'm more than happy. I'd actually prefer that than me introduce myself to you. So please get to know everybody. And with that, I will pass it off to Kris. Look forward to hearing your comments.
All right. Thank you, Dimitri. Thank you very much. So excited this is finally happening. As you all know, we are gathered here tonight because we all care deeply about something fundamental: the health and well-being of children. And not just in theory, but in this moment, in this era, in a world rapidly transformed by digital technologies. As we all know, technological advances in the past few decades have driven significant changes to the experience of childhood itself in ways that society and families are still struggling to fully understand. From the rise of social media influencers and endless streamable content to the advent of powerful algorithms and AI chat companions, it can feel overwhelming to track and research these changes and their implications. I want to acknowledge the critical role each person in this room plays in furthering our collective understanding, in working to create conditions of optimal child health in the digital age. You've shown up, both here tonight and in a more profound sense, to create a better childhood for today's children. It's not always glamorous work, but it's important work, and I'm proud to stand with all of you in doing it. So what are we doing here? We're here to connect the dots, share knowledge and expertise, and collaborate with each other to help children lead healthy lives in a digital age. We've all borne witness to how the playdates and paperbacks of 20 years ago have become TikTok challenges, social media kidfluencing, and pressure to buy loot boxes in video games. My own children became adolescents exactly when the flip phone became a smartphone, and the must-have, please, please, mom, items were Xboxes and Nintendo consoles with physical game cartridges. It felt cutting edge at the time, but my experience parenting through that shift pales in comparison to what today's parents and educators have to cope with. Between how early and how much kids are now on their own smartphones and other digital devices daily, I've seen a massive shift between my children's experiences just 2 decades ago and the experiences their children will have. I spent the early part of my career in public service primarily focused on early childhood development before coming to Children and Screens as executive director 3 years ago. I came on board because I felt I could no longer ignore the evidence that there is something very concerning happening to children today, and that this is the public health issue of our time. I thought and continue to think that it's deeply important to understand how the advent of media-saturated life is reshaping early interactions with the world and affecting child's social, physical, and cognitive development. I also believe it's critical to assess whether the promised benefits of technological innovations for increased connection and learning are reflected in the realities and trade-offs of living with it, from the effects of digital disruption to loss of control over personal and private data. Why are we here? We're here because over half of today's 4-year-olds own a personal tablet, and nearly half of adolescents report being online almost constantly. That's hundreds of hours a month scrolling, liking, consuming content, and absorbing messages that shape identity and self-worth. We're here because in 2017, an advertising tech company estimated that advertisers capture more than 72 million data points on the average child by the time they are 13 years old. 72 million. We're here because half of 11 to 17-year-olds are receiving about 240 phone notifications a day. Some are getting 5,000 notifications a day. We're here because we know that every hour spent online is an hour of childhood lost. We're here because childhood is not for sale. The science and inquiry on the impacts of digital media and device use is being led by many of you here at this Congress. While there still is much to be learned, and what we think we know is changing regularly, a picture is emerging that a significant number of children are using media in ways that affect their attention, their mental health, their physical health, and even influences self-harm and suicide-related behaviors. It's not all children and not all uses of media, but there are 73 million children in the United States. Even if only a fraction of these children are experiencing health impacts from media use, that means millions of children are facing challenges to their emotional and physical health right now in the United States. We know that about 40% of today's teens report feeling sad or hopeless. About 30% of teens have anxiety, and suicide rates for kids 10 to 14 have tripled since 2007. All of these kids are navigating a digital landscape that was not designed with their well-being in mind. We might go so far as to say that as currently designed, this landscape is exploiting their needs and abilities. The algorithms fueling the content they see do not care about their feelings and struggles, much less their health and their ability to thrive. They are designed solely to maximize their time and engagement with a media platform. They are designed for profit. This is not to say that benefits of digital media do not exist. Youth leverage these tools for learning, connection, identity exploration, and more. In fact, some youth, particularly isolated, marginalized, or differently abled youth, rely on technological support. But as they turn to screen devices for support, they almost certainly encounter the risks introduced by a landscape that has not considered their unique developmental needs. Imagine how great these benefits could be if we could remove or reduce the risk of harm. Whose problem is it? How can we use the knowledge we're gaining in real time in ways that protect children from harm? It's not a stretch to say that there's a problem with children and media use. Some might say this is a problem for parents to solve. Others might say tech companies, policymakers, or educators have a role. The answer is all of the above. There are so many lenses, disciplines, and sectors that can be engaged to address the problem, and all of them can provide us with important insights and avenues for action. I am thrilled to see experts from a wide range of disciplines and sectors with us at Media and Minds, because at Children and Screens, we believe it takes an interdisciplinary and multi-sector approach to fully understand and address the impacts the new digital childhood is having on children, families, and society. Children grow up in communities surrounded by layers of support and contexts in what developmental psychologists call the ecology of childhood. Many of you are familiar with Yuri Brofenbrenner's work, creating this framework of social and structural influences that shape a child's growth and development. The relationships in a child's life form the foundation of their ecosystem. Parents, siblings, teachers, classmates, and friends all have profound and lasting influence, both positive and negative. As influential as close relationships are, they exist within a broader context. Many external forces, social, economic, and technological, lie beyond our individual control. These forces shape children's experiences and the way caregivers and communities interact with them. If we want to address the impacts of technology use, we cannot put the entire burden on individuals. We must change these larger forces. Screens are everywhere, in our communities and the environments where children grow up. Schools depend on computers for homework and instruction. Classmates have smartphones and tablets. Children visit doctors and therapists virtually. Teams and groups use apps and social media platforms to organize activities and practices. Screens are simply inescapable. Even when a community or individual family wants to change their relationship with screens, larger social forces often pressure them towards a reliance on devices. And this effect isn't limited to kids. These systems have pressured even us adults into more and less healthy screen use. How many people feel like they can completely log off after a full day of work, or refrain from checking email during off hours? How many of you have looked at your phone even briefly since I started talking? Do you think a teacher with 30 energetic middle schoolers can keep all of them off their phones without support? Can doctors take the time to advise families on healthy screen use when they're pressured to see as many patients as possible? Individuals and families face a nearly impossible battle to change their technology use when every system around them encourages more time spent on devices. The question about how to address these pressures at every level has only become more critical. Can our social institutions and community norms be changed and modified to better support children's development and growth? Can we help people connect the dots around media use and children's health so that our digital environments support cognitive and social development and promote rather than compete with family connection? And this brings me back to, why are we here? We're here because parents are begging for clarity and trusted evidence-based information on how to help their families cope with digital media saturation in a healthy way. Science is struggling to accurately capture nuance and establish consensus on the evidence in a way that provides a clear path for action. Policy is severely lacking and slow in this country to address the design of the platforms where we and our children spend so much time. Tech platforms are not incentivized to prioritize child well-being. And most importantly, our children need us to protect their childhood and optimize their developmental arc. We're here at this Digital Media and Developing Minds Congress to connect the dots to come together, to share the science from every field, explore the nuances, and highlight the pressing questions that we still need to answer to meaningfully address child development today. We're here to put our heads together and to fill gaps. What might our collective expertise allow us to conclude? And where can we find consensus on how to move forward with resolve and a common understanding? We have a dynamic, content-rich program that reflects the urgency of this moment. Over the next 4 days, you'll hear from experts across 11 invited panels and 4 cutting-edge research symposia. You'll have access to more than 100 scientific posters, 9 fast-paced flash talks, and 19 different breakout sessions. We're especially energized by the enthusiastic response to this year's event. Registration reached full capacity, a clear sign of just how vital and timely these conversations are given the impact of the current climate where science is questioned, research is defunded, and meaningful regulation is elusive. I'm thrilled to not only see PhDs and MDs in the room, but you're joined by JDs, EDDs, MSWs, MPHs, and MBAs, which reflects our interdisciplinary focus. And in 2 days, we will be joined by 2 members of Congress as we recognize their contributions to protecting children's online safety. I want to express my deepest gratitude to the Planning Committee for pulling these issues together, to the invited speakers who have come from all over the world to share their expertise, and the hundreds of experts who have shown up to be part of this critical conversation. While I can't wait to experience the panels we have for you, I'm equally excited for each of you to bring your perspective and participate. We truly hope you will all lean into the collaborative nature of this event, interact with the panels, speak up in the breakout sessions, meet and network in the halls and at meals. I encourage you to connect, challenge, and collaborate with each other. And when this week is over, we will all return to our regular roles and our regular communities. And the best outcome of this time together is that we each leverage this experience to deepen our work, define promising avenues for action, and strengthen our resolve to go further and move faster to provide a healthy childhood for today's children and future generations to come. In the end, this is what we are doing here. We are united in the belief that all children deserve to reach their full potential and that we can help guide that effort in an increasingly digital world. Thank you so much for coming, and I can't wait to see how the next few days unfold. Let's get to work.